The opinions expressed by tonight's guest do not represent the opinions or position of Spaced Out Radio, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with SOR Media. Listener discretion is advised. Here at Spaced Out Radio, we are about to take you higher. Broadcasting from the Rocky Mountains of Colorado to you listening around the world. This is Spaced Out Sunday with host Tessa Nicole Thomas. You can follow Tessa on our Facebook page at Spaced Out Radio, on Twitter at TessaTNT, and you can subscribe to her YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio for the archive. But we break on command 'cause women rule the world. Buckle up, space travelers. Let the countdown begin.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's time to go for a ride with host Tessa Nicole Thomas.
I'm such a lucky guy, 'cause after all this time, it's like the deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening, Spaced Out Radio. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a Rocky Mountain high. Get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners and settle down snugly at mile marker 419.9 in colorful Colorado. It is Saturday, September 22nd, Sunday, September 23rd for those of you on the East Coast and beyond, and this is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a rockin' week, an awesome day, and an even better evening. I am your host, TessaTNT, and I am live tonight from hot and sweaty, beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. We are 1,000 strong nightly on Spaced Out Radio Network, spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, Paranormal Radio, TalkStream Live, as well as Deep Talk Radio, which you can find at deeptalkradio.com. Don't forget to head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, where you can peruse the Spaced Out Radio store and read the encounter online dealing with everything strange, paranormal, and odd. So I have a treat for all you guys and gals out there. Tonight, we have my very own crew of Four Corners Paranormal Investigations on. And that includes Melanie, Jamie, Mia, Debbie, and Richard. And so I'm going to read our bio for our group, and it goes a little something like this. We at Four Corners Paranormal Investigations do not charge for any paranormal investigations. We feel it is our mission to give a voice to the voiceless, whether living or deceased, and to bring peace to home, land, and business owner/tenant. As founder of FCPI, I am excited to aid you in your paranormal journey, wherever it may be. Our first paranormal encounter, well, mine did, happen at an age before I could even retain the memory, and I have encountered many ghosts, messengers, guardians, natural entities, alien craft, paranormal entities, and alien craft throughout my life. And I have kept my experiences closely guarded my whole life for fear of ridicule. I decided to share my experiences in this field to help others in my community and beyond cope and better understand the paranormal. It is also our goal to help those on the other side find peace, gain freedom, return home, or coexist with the mortals in their life/afterlife. So our message is for people to stop struggling with the paranormal in their home, work, and everyday lives, and let us help them find the answers to these dilemmas. So we're going to start with Melanie. And Mel, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So originally I am from North Carolina. Moved to Colorado my senior year, which was a long time ago. I would say my first paranormal experience was when I was a young girl. I would wake up. We lived in a trailer park, and I would wake up and I'd look out the window, and there'd be a scarecrow in my yard. And but of course, there was no scarecrow because when the sun came up, it was gone. So throughout my life, I've had many different experiences. When we've been out on hunts, I've been touched. When I actually work in a haunted building, and so periodically things happen in my office. So that's, my journey every day is a little bit different in the paranormal, but I have hit it some, and just in the last few years, we've been starting talking with different people about their experiences.
Awesome. Jamie, what about you?
Well, I've lived in Colorado for 36 years now, and degree in anthropology and history. Love the history of the area. I could probably say my first paranormal experience, I walked out onto my front porch here out on our property and felt an overwhelming sense of loneliness and despair and asked, what can I do for you? And the cowboy moved into the house. After that, I had a few experiences up at Mesa Verde as a park ranger. There was a lady who used to like to look down on the rangers and the tour groups from the upper storage levels of Cliff Palace and run around corners and balcony house. So yeah, that's about it, aside from, of course, our investigations.
Okay, and what is your background? Like, we all have our different areas that we're...
Research mainly. Research. If there's any historical or archaeological presence on a property, I'll find it.
Nice. How about you, Miss Mia?
Well, okay, so I've been on here before, so I would classify myself as a clairvoyant. I kind of was in denial for a long time, but there was just something told me that I needed to just reach out and do that. I can't remember my first paranormal experience. I really don't, but one of them, I've mentioned other ones, so I'll just give another one that I haven't mentioned before. I was probably about 7 years old, and my mom and my stepfather, we were driving, and I saw a homeless woman on the road, and I just all of a sudden felt this overwhelming feeling of emotion, sadness, whatever it was. She looked homeless. I'm not sure if she actually was. And we turned around and there was no one there. And, the more I look back, I wrote it in my diary, and I read years later, I read it. And the more and more I realized after I had other experiences that she was not actually a human, that she was someone that had just crossed over very recently. I saw her basically. So that was one of my first ones. And I don't really see ghosts as much anymore. Most of my things are clairvoyant. So I get flashes and empathic feelings, physical feelings of the way people were when they were living, and just weird things like that. I'm seeing through their eyes in a weird way. But that was my first experience that I remember, one of them.
Yeah.
And then I met you guys.
Yeah, that was awesome. We actually did a full moon hunt where we invite people out for free, and we had a few cool experiences that night. It was kind of hit or miss, but right, Debbie, what about you? Tell us more about yourself and how you first got into the paranormal.
Well, I was raised in a Polish Catholic family where the whole idea of anything beyond church, was forbidden. But I couldn't help the fact that I've been having prophetic dreams since I was a little girl. I'd see things or people. I remember seeing my ancestors actually in my grandmother's house when I was about 7. And Dad was saying, well, it's time for us to leave. And I said, well, what about the people upstairs? And he said, Debbie, there's nobody up there, And I said, yeah, there are. They're up there in that second room, And I kept trying to convince him, those are the kinds of things that happen to me, a lot. And then it kind of faded for a while. And I think really I was purposely putting it away. But then when I got into 9th grade, 10th grade, then I started seeing things more often, and just having feelings about buildings or places, and that was never really confirmed until I met you guys and started having a good time with it, because it brought it out, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, so it is real. And I went to college down in Roswell. Yeah, and it's okay, right. And I went to college down in Roswell and all this stuff. And it's my personal opinion, really, that even though a lot of people think that this is a bunch of hooey, I actually think it's going to be the new frontier. Because, even the federal government has been doing this research on clairvoyance and things like that since World War II. So, I think the technology is right there on the edge. I think we're going to see some more advances real soon.
Yeah, for sure. And I love your background, and we're going to get a little bit more into that later. Richard, what about yourself?
Okay. Well, originally I am from Chicago, Illinois. I moved to Durango about 25 years ago. Presently, I'm doing landscaping, and I work with the homeless part-time here in Durango, Colorado. I had a few experiences as a child that I was always told was my imagination, or kind of the, there's someone in the closet, oh, it's just inside your head, here, look, there's nobody there kind of experiences. But as a child, I was always doing like my reports at school, because I was really interested in ghosts and UFOs and Bigfoot, so I'd always do my reports on that. And obviously, I'm still interested, being that I'm part of Four Corners Paranormal Investigations. After going up to the Sioux Reservation and experiencing some really profound things that happened up there, I came back to Durango and found people that were looking to have ghosts removed out of their rooms, houses, etc. And did a pretty good job with that. Only one reoccurring situation after about 4 attempts. So I've had that interest going at that time as well. I got a few psychics in the family that I kind of really didn't believe in until I believe in them, as far as being psychic, until I saw some different situations kind of play out after some kind of, as was said earlier, kind of prophetic psychic scenarios kind of came true. So I got more and more interested. And I'm also, to reiterate on, I think, on what someone just said, I think we're living in a time where we're going to see in our lifetime the government coming forward and admitting the existence of aliens and UFOs, and that they've been here all the time. And there you have it in a nutshell.
Awesome. So we have the world's largest ghost hunt coming up, and this year we're going to be in Silverton, Colorado, and a lot of our crew members we've actually gained through the world's largest ghost hunt. And we'll start with Mel. Can you tell us about your first experience with Four Corners Paranormal and the world's largest ghost hunt?
Sure. Several years ago, actually, I'm going to take us back a little bit before we met Tessa. Jamie and I and another one of our friends had been talking about coming up with our own paranormal group, and then we kind of stumbled upon Tessa and the Four Corners Paranormal group. I can't remember if Jamie, was it through Facebook or something? I can't remember exactly, but
Google.
Was it Google?
It was Google.
Nice.
It seems like we've known each other forever. So then we asked Tessa if we could meet up with her, and we did, and it was the first year of the National Ghost Hunt Day. And what we ended up doing was the train station museum. And I've always been a believer, but I think actually being with a like-minded group of people made it even more real for me. It's not like what you see on TV, which most people are like, oh, yeah, it's exactly like that, but it's really not. Yeah.
And you had a cool experience with Emmy in the immigrant car that night, I remember. It was pretty amazing.
It was. So we had been talking, and I had never really used the dowsing rods, and we were in the back of the car, and we had been talking about Emmy and stuff, and the rods would not cross. They kept going backwards, and they would actually touch the sides of my arms. And then at one point, I became so emotional that we even got on the voice recorder, or the actually we were using Ghost Radar, the word tears, and I actually was crying at the time. So it was pretty remarkable experience.
That was awesome. And Jamie, you were there that night too, and that's when I first met you and Mel and Selena. Tell us about your first experience with us in the world's largest ghost hunt.
Well, first of all, I had no idea that Ghost Radar...
Jamie, are you there? I think I lost you. No. Jamie, are you there? Can any of you
Oh,
guys...
no.
Oh, okay. There's Mel. Can the rest of you guys hear me? Oh, no, Jamie,
Yes.
where'd you go? Okay. Okay, so you were talking about Ghost Radar. Oh, no. All right.
Oh, no, that's not Jamie. Sorry, that's me.
I think we might have lost her.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I'm trying to get her back. Oh, we lost
Call
her.
has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 97079954440 is not available. At the tone, please...
Well, and we're trying to get Richard back, too. Well, let's see. Do we got Mia? You're next on there. Your first experience with us.
Oh, okay. So we went to the river bottom, I believe was our first experience. Well, okay, let me back up. So I had just gotten back from Italy, and I had an experience where a guy who was from, where the heck was he from? Some small islandy type place. His brother had just died, and he was driving us to the airport, and his brother, where was he from? I can't think of it right now. It's at the tip of my tongue. But his brother had just died a couple days ago, and I didn't know that. And his brother contacted me in the cab, but I was having a real hard time trying to talk to him because he didn't speak English, and the guy who was driving us did not speak English either. Or he did, but not very well. And so his brother had just passed, long story short, and he was trying to show me these images. One was a palm tree. One was something else about kids, and I was trying to give a message.
Sorry.
No worries.
Sorry,
You're trying to give a
my
message.
call dropped.
No worries.
And so I was trying to give a message to him, but it was very frustrating. But it was like one of those weird awakening moments. I came back to Colorado and I realized I'm like, okay, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep getting messages from people's loved ones, because that's my speciality isn't with ghosts. It's mainly with people that are connected to people. They have that extra connection, which makes it a lot easier for me to contact them than a ghost that doesn't have any real connection to the person. Anyway, so I came back and I said, this is it. So I went online and I'm like, I need to I don't want to do this. I don't want to be like a psychic that works for one of those hotlines or something like that, because it doesn't work like that, you know? And so I looked for a paranormal group, and lo and behold, you know, Four Corners it just kind of popped up, and I'm like, wow, this is not only close, this is like I could throw a rock and hit the window close. It was like this weird, like, oh, sign from God kind of moment. It really was. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're so close to me. And I'm like, I really need to be doing this. I can't just keep getting messages for people and keep having these experiences. And so our first hunt, we went down to the river bottom, and we had a lot of activity, but the funniest, we did see, actually, we caught a very good picture, if you remember this, that really good picture of that spirit that was possibly the guy that Richard knew personally in life, that was an alcoholic young kid. He was standing behind a tree, and we got a really good picture of him. And then the cops came, and they're like, what are you kids doing? And we're like, and they were actually very interested. You pulled out your equipment, and they're like, wow, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I went back. I regressed to the time I was probably like 17, 16 years old with my friends at the park drinking or something. And I'm like, oh no, the cops are here. But they turned out to be very supportive of what we were doing. I'm sure they were happy we weren't causing trouble or anything. But that picture, it was like a spirit of a younger kid who had either drowned or something alcohol related. He was drunk. Both me and you, Tess, we both felt that dizzy, hungover headache feeling in the same exact spot. I mean, to a T, we walked in the exact same spot, had that same exact feeling. And I think it had to do with that apparition that we saw, and that was behind the tree, kind of popping out.
Yeah, and it was interesting because it turned out Richard had known the guy.
Yes.
That's who we were looking at. He had actually passed away in the river and was drinking. But you also have to remember that is called Las Animas, right? The river of lost souls. And so many have died there from huge native tribes, the Spaniards, as well as cavalry, and then all the people over the years with floods, drowning, what have you. So that could, I still think that could have been a lot of different people, but it did feel like a presence that I had. Yeah. But I did feel like someone I had met before, so it's totally a possibility.
Yeah, he felt younger. He felt, sometimes I feel like ghosts that have been somewhere for a long time have a different kind of more faded feel. He had a newer feel to him, almost like current day feel to him. He wasn't afraid of us. He seemed to be watching us. It definitely was drunk. We could both, that was just, or really, really hungover, or like dying of alcohol poisoning or something. All I know is I stood in that one spot, and then later we left from that spot and came back kind of in a U-shaped, and we were right staring at that spot from afar, and that's when we saw that apparition. And it was clear, and then even got a picture of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was peeking around the side of the tree, trying to be all slick.
And because you knew him in life, perhaps that's why he was closer than some of the other apparitions that we experienced kind of here and there. There was a lot of different, like, fleeting energies in that area, but nothing that was kind of really sticking. But that was the strongest presence, I think.
Yeah. And,
a very good possibility, I agree.
Yeah. And since we're on Richard, we'll get back to Jamie. Richard, how did you come into the group, and what was your first experience with us?
Well, the first main experience was that unfortunate situation next door to me. Mm-hmm. But that's when you invited me, Tessa, to that situation. What, was it the train station first, or was it down by the river first? I'm not sure. It's been a while.
I believe
We did the train first.
Yeah.
We did the train first, and then the midnight walk.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was thinking. So yeah, you had invited me to the train station, and that was a really profound situation for sure. I, as everybody knows, I'm probably the biggest skeptic in the group, but and though I felt things and have experienced things, I often don't just like jump right into it. But that was a good first lesson for me in FCPI, because I just immediately started having all kinds of different like chills up and down my spine. My hair started going up the closer we got to that immigrant car, and just being there. I believe that was the trip where I brought my daughter, correct?
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
And she, when she walked to the back of that car, she turned around and came out with eyes really big and proceeded to sit the rest of the time up in the front, or went back out into the museum, because she didn't like that area where that kitchen was in the back. Mm-hmm. And I still look forward to possibly figuring out if we could do an overnight there. I think that would be a really powerful experience. But learning the different machines that first time was incredibly interesting for me, and I'll always remember that experience, because when your thought processes and your feelings and the hair raising up on your neck corresponded either just prior or as the machine was going off, kind of backs up your abilities and what you're feeling. So that was just absolutely amazing. But the highlight of that whole trip, as everybody well knows, in my mind, was looking at the actual security system that the train had, like a $30,000, I think they had said they had like 13 cameras with temperature and everything else. And then having the curator of the museum, was his name John?
Jeff.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff. When he pulled those pictures up of Kate and Emmy, I just instantly knew that was something that was real. And I thought it was amazing how Kate, who had passed much earlier than Emmy, was twice as faded. And that seeing those kinds of experiences, or those kinds of situations that unfold, on camera, that's really proof in the pudding to me, and that really made me want to come back and check it out again and go to all the different places we went after that.
Yeah, we've had some pretty awesome locations, and I want to do more. And then we have the Grand Imperial. I don't know if you're going to be there for that or not, Richard. But that's this coming.
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
I am blowing off everything else in my life to go do some me time.
It's going to be awesome. I'm excited. So someone in the chat room is asking about ghost radar and what exactly is it. And Jamie, that's kind of where you were picking up on your experience. And we'll go to you on that.
Yeah, actually, you were showing, that first time that we met you were showing Selena and Melanie the ghost radar, and we were back in the kitchen, and I was up in the sleeper part of the car, and you had mentioned that that's where you learned about Kate Johnson, And her story, she was telling you her story through the Ghost Radar app on the phone. So yeah, I was actually had the flare camera pointed at you three, and Selena's 5'0" on a good day, and I caught, unfortunately was not able to, didn't know how to take the picture and save the picture, but saw Kate looking over Selena's shoulder at the Ghost Radar. That was pretty profound.
I'm pretty sure we do have one, because I remember looking through the files. You can see us standing back there, and you can see the outline of someone behind us, like kind of checking out what we're doing.
Oh, that would be wonderful, because I didn't think you had told me how to do that yet. I'm still a little new on the technology part of things. I like to use intuition, but that flare camera, love that thing.
So yeah, basically that was our first meeting there at the railroad
Our
station.
first meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what were some of the experiences that you had that night with the world's largest ghost hunt?
The first one, I wasn't at the second one, so I wasn't able to participate then.
My dog just farted in my face. Disgusting. I'm sorry. I went to lean in and give him a hug, and it was just horrible. Thanks.
He leaned into it.
Yeah, not a good time to squeeze your dog.
I think that's what made him fart, probably. I love you, squeeze. Sorry.
I know that
I'm so glad I'm at my house.
Right.
After that that afternoon, we ended up meeting some of our other members and ended up going up to a cemetery.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Aside from seeing those orbs dancing around that tree, there wasn't really much going on. Maybe some words on the Ghost Radar, but that was about it. But yeah, that was fun.
Well, Jamie, remember I had heard the walking behind us?
Oh, that's right, you did. Yes. That's right.
Which cemetery are you talking about?
That's over on 228?
Yeah.
234?
Okay. Yeah, I didn't make that one.
Florida River Church or something like that, yeah.
So tell me more about it.
Oh, we went up there probably about 10 o'clock at night, and was the problem was a lot of people had put out some solar lights out on the graves, and it just messed with. It needed to be completely dark, but those solar lights were causing some issues. But yeah, there was. I got video, but I didn't catch the orbs of the video. I actually.
And my IR camera and my GoPro kept turning off.
Right, yes.
And then we had that. You guys said it was a deer that rushed the fence, but I didn't see a deer, and I didn't hear it clunk off or anything. That freaked me out because it felt like something was trying to rush the perimeter. And then I had to go out and get batteries, and I felt like things were encroaching on my area.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Is that your dog farting?
No, but I'm surprised you guys didn't smell it over the phone because they're bad. So they're the worst dog farts or farts period I've ever smelled in my entire life. I think he eats dead stuff and he eats prairie dogs quite a bit. I watched him tear one apart yesterday, just living. You could just hear it scream, and he's just tearing it from back and forth, shaking it. And I'm like, no wonder why your farts smell so bad. They're eating live animals, and dead animals and stuff. So. Anyway, sorry.
And be careful with those prairie dogs. I had a friend who had a very near-death experience from his dog playing with a prairie dog, and the fact that the bubonic plague does pop up in the Southwest.
Yeah, I know. I try the best that I can, and if I get the plague, I get the plague. I mean, like, I don't have
Well,
any
you better
choice.
come haunt us. You better hang out with us regardless of being in this world or the other world.
You know, it would actually, I won't knock on wood, but at the same time that you guys we would all have a lot of fun. That's morbid, but so true.
Hey, I'm coming to haunt all you when I die. Yeah.
Right?
Please do.
You're the only ones who will listen to me, damn it.
Right?
Yeah, we'll be hanging out together forever, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been through a lot together, and it's been a lot of cool things, like when we did those exercises. I don't know, does somebody have a TV on in the background? I hear something. But we did these energy exercises together that, who was it, Linda did for us?
Linda did, yes.
Mm-hmm. They were so amazing, and it was at a perfect time because we had just gone to that pre-investigation with a family that had what we thought was perhaps poltergeist activity, but it was something completely different.
Completely different, yes.
Mel?
Okay, so I don't have background noise. I'm going to put you guys down for 1 second.
Okay. Mel, what was
30 seconds.
Your thoughts on that case, and did you have anything attached to you or anything after this preliminary investigation?
Well, what I found very interesting, even though, so we met that family at a restaurant. Is that the case we're talking about?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Okay. And so I wasn't sitting right next to the family. There was one person sitting between me and the family, and I would have to periodically, so when I start feeling energy, I have to kind of like rub my arms. It's like weird. It's like it's my way of clearing the energies. And so I had to do that quite a bit because whatever that was, it was pretty intense and strong. And then when I tried to, I had actually touched the little girl's hand, and it just didn't quite seem right. There was something not right. And I know Jamie and Linda went out to the property later, and they witnessed some stuff. It was a very odd, I felt very odd situation because the mom was talking about how she did this and she's done this. It felt like she dabbled too much in all the different, like areas of paranormal, trying to figure it out, which I feel like that might have made it worse, what was going on. But a lot of it I felt was totally geared toward the child, that energies or whatever is happening in the house had to do with her.
Yeah, and she started to admit slowly that some of these things were her, but there were things that we weren't able to explain, like, bowls flying and hitting people in the head and shoes and different other random things.
Yeah. Right.
So, Jamie, what did you discover when you and Linda went up to the property?
We pretty much discovered it was the 8-year-old. She has some psychic ability, but she was also acting out because of the chaos in her mostly her mother's life, unfortunately. But we did notice that all of the things that were happening were at her level. Nothing that was higher than what she could reach had been thrown. So she was either doing it psychically or she was doing it physically. Because there were a couple of times that I could see out of the corner of my eye something get thrown, and I knew it was her. But at the same time, there was a heavy Fae presence on that property. And they were very intent on that little girl. So it
Can
was.
you explain to people what Fae are?
Fae, some people call them fairies, mischievous little creatures. When you think of fairy, think of Tinkerbell, just not so Disney-like. I walked out to the back of the property where she said she had played a little bit, and there was a grove of oak trees. And I asked her, do you play over there, Annie? Because there was a chair and there was a tree house with a swing. And she says, no, I don't really like going over there. And the mother and the grandmother said, no, we don't like going over there. And there was definitely a presence there that's different than the paranormal presences that we normally feel with spirits such as Kate and Emmy. It was just totally different. I can't tell you exactly how different because I'm still trying to sort it out in my mind. But Linda, one of our members, is very familiar with the Fae. And we walked into the house loaded for bear, ready to fight something that was, demonic, poltergeist, whatever. And both Linda and I followed the druid path. And once they found these Fae, figured out we were druids, the energy in that house changed from wary and not quite sure, not hostile, but wary. Who are you? What are you doing here? To pure joy. Pure joy. They were happy to see us. They wanted us there. And I'm not real. I'm empathetic for humans, not towards spirits. But I felt like these Fae wanted this little girl to come and join them and live with them, and had to explain they can't kidnap the little girl because it wouldn't be a good thing. So yeah, there's more things out there than spirits like Kate and Emmy. Yes. So that was an interesting one.
Did you guys tell her to put out like an offering for the Fae? And
Oh
what
yes,
exactly
we did.
was on that
Yeah.
plate?
She put out a piece of bread with a little bit of milk and honey, and that the activity stopped because her little girl went to Florida with her grandmother. So we knew it involved the 8-year-old because all activity stopped at the house. So yes. The little girl came back and all the activity started up again. So, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm finding a lot of our stuff involves psychological unrest, and this is one situation where I definitely needed some therapy.
Yeah, we've had a couple of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Once you have an emotional problem in your life, or you or someone else around you has a substance abuse problem, and holes are created in your aura from what I call like aura damage or soul damage. Once you get into, a fight with somebody, or you have something really hurtful happen, and the rest is kind of left there. The holes in your aura are allowing things to come in from different realms. And so you can create your own hauntings, even if your house wasn't before, if you are, and so that's why you said therapy. She had a lot of relationship drama and so forth and so on. And so that was inviting a lot of the stuff in, even if it wasn't, therapy would help basically to heal the wounds, from the inside out. You heal the wounds, and then you can heal the holes in your aura, so you don't have so many energies coming in, draining you, or whatever is happening. I think that was I agree. Basically, I totally agree with the therapy thing.
So Jason in the chat room is asking, so do some people run into the Fae or other non-human entities deep in the forest? He says he saw something recently that he He's trying to understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's on a
Definitely.
realm different from ours, but when you're somewhere
Ask-
where
If
go
I
ahead.
talk, am I asking him something as we speak? He's hearing this? Or is he just reading it off of?
we're live.
Okay. So my question to him would be, did it feel like it was something alive or something dead?
Okay, and we do have a slight delay, so we'll wait to see if he answers on that.
Okay, because we got all kinds of live spooky things, and we have all kinds of dead spooky things.
I used to see
Well,
these little fairy creatures when I was younger, and I'm not talking about like 5 years old. I'm talking like 12, 13 years old, you know. So I was already like kind of closing in that psychic realm, you know, when you're really young, like a baby and you have no filter. That part was already closed, and they were these weird fairy tale like hoofed creatures that were into these bushes, and I would see them only, and I will never seen them anywhere else except for this one field, you know, and I would see them every day almost on the way home. I would walk home from my bus stop and I would see them every day. And I think there are certain areas that have high activity or vortexes. And then there's also like different realms that people see Bigfoot. And I think sometimes Bigfoots, they exist, but they're in a realm that's so close to ours, like fourth dimension or something. And when you're out in the middle of the woods and you're open and you're clear headed and you don't have any of this stuff blocking your psychic vision or whatever, then you see them. I mean, I think they might be on this realm, but I think that's a theory too. And so I think that if your mind was clear, you're in the woods, you're camping, you're able to see things that are there anyway, but on a different dimensional realm because you're having like a clear moment almost.
I've
one theory.
seen things that, you know, look like little humanoid figures, and then you do a double take and it ends up being a piece of grass waving or dandelion fluff or something like that. And I'm going, I see you. I know you're there.
That sounds very fey to me. Or you have missing socks and you're like, you know, I just bought a whole big 2 packs of socks and I know that I did laundry and they're nowhere. You know, they take socks. I think they did.
And had you just partaken in anything that might be considered a green entity prior to losing the socks?
No, Richard.
I don't do that, Richard.
No,
I lose it all the time. I lose them all the time.
No.
Just making sure.
No, I did live in a place where the fairies would mess with us quite a bit, but I actually don't know if it was of a fae deal, or I think there was, and this is a true story, there was a young girl that lived in the apartment that we lived in, and she got her own parents backed over her when she was on a little bicycle in that parking lot. And so we would hear little footsteps and we would claim it to be the fairies, but then we found out later about this kid. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, that's a whole nother deal. But we would joke about it being the fairies, you know, the fairies moved my keys, the fairies, you know, and to a degree, I think that might be possible that they can kind of come into this realm.
Jason came back in the chat room and said it felt heavy. Camera acted strange. He saw a black mass moving across the forest floor, and it looked like it was keeping an eye on him but trying to remain hidden.
Uh-huh. That sounds just about right. Yep.
Heavy physically or heavy, like, emotionally?
And we'll wait a few more seconds on that. But that takes me to an experience I had in Paris, Arkansas, and I'm at my sister's house, and I'm sleeping in my niece's bedroom. But I've always had issues getting to sleep, so I'm laying there and, you know, just thinking and listening to the noises of the house, and all of a sudden I hear this little scurrying and some thumping, and so I think my sister's coming out to get some water or to play Scrabble or whatever we do late at night, and all of a sudden I see these 2 small beings between 12 to 18 inches tall, and they're wearing these little clothes, and laughing and chattering. One sits down on the edge and starts swinging his feet back and forth, and then the other runs up behind him and pushes him to push him off of the shelf, but he grabs hold and pulls up, and then they start to wrestle. And at that point I figured it was a good time to sit up and try to go see what was going on and what these little critters are. Maybe I can communicate or something. And when I turned the corner, they were gone. So I don't know, like we used to call them the takers, because like you're saying, one of your socks would disappear, or your keys would disappear, or your lighter, or whatever.
And I like that, the takers.
Yeah, and we just asked nicely, hey, can you bring that back? I really need it. I have to go to work. And then all of a sudden it's back in the original place that you put it and that you've looked a million times. So that was interesting. Would those be fae, or is that like gnomes, or what the heck was that?
Yes, fae.
Yeah.
Fae was one of those. It's the same realm. I would call it the fairy realm. So anything that's small, non-human. It doesn't have to be small. It can be big, but something like that that's non-human, that never was, that would be in the fairy realm. It's a parallel like level to our existence, is what I think, and what I've read from other people as well.
I've actually had an experience with a gentleman who did not believe in fairies, ghosts, whatever. We were prepping a site for a camping trip, and found a toadstool ring, perfect toadstool ring, and it's great. Preserve it. Let them, let it alone. And he deliberately destroyed it. And after that, a lot of bad luck.
Oh, no.
A lot of bad things happened to him. So yes, yeah.
Robert in the chat room is saying bogarts. Is that another term for these critters?
That's a Harry Potter term, but yes, yes.
Nice.
Hey, Tessa.
But there's some basis in those terms. So.
Mel, were you saying something?
Well, yeah. Earlier, Katie had asked for us to tell our scariest moments.
Okay. Well, we have 4 minutes before we have to go to our first commercial break, so I kind of figured we'd wait till our second hour to get into that sort of stuff. And we haven't asked Debbie yet. Debbie, how did you first get into the group and get involved with Four Corners Paranormal Investigations?
Well, I was actually at the ghost crawl over at the train. You were talking a lot about Kate earlier, and myself and another gal went back into the immigrant car, and we were the last ones to go in there, or actually to come out of it, and she got spooked because she felt somebody tug her hair. And I was setting up to take a photograph, and when I took the picture and then walked out of the immigrant car and looked at the picture later, I walked over to Jeff, the curator, and I said, there wasn't anybody in this car. How come there's this person in the picture? And we started sharing it all around because he said, oh my gosh, that's Kate. And just kind of like a half of a figure in a Victorian blouse with her hair up. And one of the gals from the train, Cheryl, who isn't on the phone tonight, one of our partners, she's the one that recommended I come to the first meeting. And she said, it was great because you just fit in so well. So, yeah, it's been a great experience for me. I'm actually pretty new to Durango. And, finding you guys through Cheryl was terrific for me, especially being able to open up about all of this stuff and not keep it locked up anymore.
Yeah, that's really important, and it's nice to find like-minded people that you can share it with.
Yeah, because I've been interested in UFOs for a long time. I had seen plenty of things. I've seen things at the national parks where I used to work too, and Had strange experiences at Mesa Verde also, and Scotty's Castle, and certainly the ghost town I lived at up in Bodie, California. And so to be able to share all that, it feels so much better. And, now that I know that feeling are real, it's got me even more interested. So it's fun.
Have you had one of those experiences where you talk to people that are not like-minded, and you forget, that you're like way out there, and you have to reel yourself back in and realize when you that happened to me today. I said that to somebody. They said something to somebody about a person that had just crossed over not too long ago. I was at his memorial today, and I had just made a comment about sometimes before we die, our souls already are half out. And it's like, I've noticed this with people that I've known before they died. A lot of times they will act different. Like all of a sudden they're at peace. They could care less of what's going on around them. They're they have a different energy about them, because it's like their soul kind of already knows it, and they're already half, they're like cats are already half gone, like they're already half out there.
Yeah.
And so I kind of mentioned something to someone, and they looked at me, and I was like, oh crap, what did I do? You're not, telling that to one of you guys would be different, but I just kind of they just kind of looked at me like, are you okay? Kind of type of look. And I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't have said anything, at all, but you just, you'd have to start square one. You go for it.
The first annual Caribou Paracon is happening September 28th to 30th in the 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Brought to you by the Canadian Society of Questers and Spaced Out Radio. Come listen to our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Elizabeth Anglin, Paisley Town, Mike Moran, Eric Cooper, and more. It's a 3-day supernatural adventure at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Tickets for the weekend are $150 Canadian. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your Four Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us and bring your questions for us to investigate right here on Spaced Out Radio.
There's news, and there's The Encounter. This is Spaced Out Radio News Director Everett Thiemer inviting you to check out The Encounter. Our half-hour news segment every Monday through Friday night is different compared to what you're used to. Our goal is to bring you the weird, strange, and interesting stories the mainstream tends to leave out, and stories that will make you scratch your head in disbelief. The Encounter can also be found at spacedoutradio.com and on our Facebook page, SOR The Encounter. Come give us a read.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and I want you to come on a nightly journey. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, every Monday through Friday, you can come hang out with me and the other space travelers. We have it all from Carl the Alien bouncing on by to those misfit gnomes causing havoc. It's 3 hours of fun and entertainment on those topics the mainstream really doesn't want to touch. Come get all paranormal with us at spacedoutradio.com, and together, my friends, along with our resident guitar god Bumblefoot, we own the night.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Tonight's show and topic of discussion do not necessarily reflect the opinion of Spaced Out Radio, SOR Media, or its hosts. Listener discretion is advised. Here comes the second hour of Spaced Out Sunday with host Tessa Nicole Thomas. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio. And you can follow Tessa on Twitter at TessaTNT. Now, back to the show.
Hey guys, welcome back. So sorry on the outro there. I was muted, and I'm trying not to push that button because I don't want to go to that realm. But tonight we have Four Corners Paranormal Investigations, which is Mel, Jamie, Mia, Debbie, and Richard. We do have more members, but a lot of us couldn't make it. But welcome back, guys. It's so great to have you on the show.
Hi.
Yay, hi.
Hello.
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 So Debbie, we left off with you, and Mia, you were actually talking about feeling accepted in our group, and it's kind of like having our own paranormal family, and we have so much fun together always. Did you have anything more to add about your friend that had passed recently, and just, you had said something to someone and kind of felt weird about it?
Oh, just the point is when you're around people that understand or are open to the paranormal, as opposed to people who are not, who have not gained that I'll say that privilege, or that not privilege is the wrong word, just that experience. They're not open to that experience. They haven't had that type of things happen to them yet in their lives where they can open up to that, or they just maybe will never open up to that. And then, you say something and you forget when you're around people that do or can or are open to understanding that what you want to say to them, as opposed to people who are just not even in that, never think about it, or they're afraid of it. A lot of people are afraid of the afterlife. That's the biggest thing. So many people are scared. They don't want to think of the possibility of there being an afterlife with ghosts that can see you when you're peeing or whatever,
Wow.
Creeper.
Right. It's not exactly like that, but
like Jason was asking, what's the strangest things that the team has seen? Who should we start with? Let's start with Mel.
The strangest thing that I have seen. That's a good question. I can think of the scariest thing I've seen, but come back to me on that one.
All right, we'll move
have to think about it.
To Jamie.
Well, I don't get scared with our group. If anybody is scared, I just feed off that and calm myself down.
Yeah.
But I can say that out here on our property for a while, we had a very, very evil presence. And I would be taking care of my nephews when they were young, and my sister was doing an overnight job. And in the morning, she'd get home like 6 a.m., 5:30, 6 a.m., and the presence was outside. And we live maybe about 200 to 500 yards, I'm not good with distance, away. And I would literally run from her house to my house because I could not stand that presence on the property. And I had a friend who was actually sort of my mentor, who passed away several years ago. And he came out onto the property and helped clear that out. So that's my scariest experience. But yeah, with Four Corners Paranormal Investigation, I don't allow myself to get scared. So the strangest experience I've ever had with our group wasn't paranormal. It was, we went out to an investigation, and the longer we were there, the rowdier the party got. The more people showed up. They treated it as a actual party and thought we were Ghostbusters and come in with proton packs and blast their ghosts away. Yeah,
that was strange. I remember this.
Yeah.
Grandma stole the
a
whiskey.
Strange one. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I know, I wanted some of that at the end of the investigation, too.
Grandma left and came back and stole the booze.
If you guys remember, though, what I felt the biggest part of us being out there that time, as someone had mentioned earlier about therapy, we ended up doing therapy with the living members in the house. And
yes.
That often seems like something that, also happens with all the hurt and pain in this world or in the other world. We end up also doing quite a bit of counseling to the living, which I find really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, that was the scariest investigation I've been on with you guys, because not only did I know this family, prior to the investigation, we had been asked to open ourselves and try to visualize, like what might be going on. And every time I tried to do that, I kept getting blocked, and I couldn't figure out why. And then once we got there and I found out that I knew the people, not only did I have an entity with me at that investigation, but anytime we would bring any of our EMF readers close to my body, they would automatically shoot over to the red, which I've never, ever had happen before. it altogether was a pretty intense investigation for me. And I had to be cleansed before I left the property. And when I got home, yeah.
So was it was it you, Mel, or was it Glow that went out to grab some sage or something, and they saw that dark entity in the driveway?
That was me. That was when the entity rushed me, and I had to run back in the house.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then I went out to see what you guys were doing because, like, you guys were piling in the car, and I was fine, but then all of a sudden I started feeling really nauseous and really weird. So then you guys saged me really quick, and I don't know. It was a very weird place, but we got some really good evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I really wish we could have figured out with that particular investigation. They were having trouble with their son, and it was sounding like something negative was hanging out with him. And just walking by his room, he was in his room. He played no part of the investigation, but my little red flag went up like way up there. I'm like, oh no, like I didn't even want to get near. There's something that's hanging out with him, kind of messing with him, kind of like staying out of our way, and he's not nice. So
yeah, and we couldn't really check out that room. Did somebody go in there by accident and then realize he was in there sleeping, or I think that was pretty much cordoned off to us, and doing the sage and whatnot, like that was the room that really needed it the most.
I remember I couldn't get up the stairs.
Yeah, I was about to mention that, and that was really strange.
Yeah. I had been out on the property and ran across one of my one of the spots that we never did get back out there for me to check that out during the daylight, but I get fused to spots that have either historical or archaeological presence to them, and I actually had to have Mel and Richard pull me off that spot, and it just drained everything out of me. Yeah. So I went into the house and I was downstairs. Yeah, I was downstairs, and everybody was upstairs. So I tried to go upstairs, and whatever it was upstairs was keeping me from going upstairs. I mean, literally pushing me. I think I got to like 4 steps down and finally had to stop because I just could not get upstairs.
I remember my mother got a really strong reading about something that I didn't know walking into that investigation. And my mom and were kind of like very much connected, and she's very much more psychic than I am. And she started telling me something. She kept telling me about a living person. A living person was part of a small religious group and she kept talking about this woman, and she said there was an attachment to her, and I had no idea. And then I talked to Mel about this, and then Mel confirmed all of this, and she it was pretty wild because I had no idea about any of the backgrounds of the people or anything at that time, and my mom's like, she's like, I don't know, you gotta watch out for some there's some stuff going on. And I mentioned it to Mel, and I didn't think anything of it, and she just confirmed, and the person that has the attachment was there at the time. So yeah, that's who my mom picked up on very strongly. It's interesting.
And wasn't that the one where a lot of us ended up feeling strongly that there was a bunch of children in there that were kind of locked in the house and abusive females?
Yes. And I think those are related to the deceased attachment or the relative of the woman that was there as well. I think a lot of it wasn't necessarily the house. It was a person that was there.
And we were trying to, let the kids know that they were free. They didn't have to stay there anymore. She didn't have power over them anymore. And we got one partially down the stairs, and then he went back up. He wasn't quite convinced.
I remember just like feeling them and feeling like their presence. And I thought it was the house. And then when my mom started mentioning the stuff about the attachment she was picking up on, I just wondered necessarily the house, or it was attachments to the deceased relatives of some of the living that were there. I don't know. We'd have to probably delve into that and go on another hunt, but I don't know if we're going to make it or not.
Yeah, it was funny. Also, me and Mel had gone out into this field, and we were approaching this really old, creepy tree, and there was some oak brush all around it, and we got really, really close, and then all of a sudden we started hearing these really loud, like, movements and such, and we're like, oh, it's coming towards us. And then it ended up just being a cow.
And there was footsteps on the porch. I'm not sure who was with me when we heard them shortly after we came into the house, but there was footsteps on the porch, and it's a wooden porch, very loud footsteps, like coming into the door. And we looked outside. There's literally no one. There's no one on the side of the house. There's no one coming into the house. And they sounded like child footsteps, kind of like a pit pat, almost like a little bit of a run. And there was literally nobody outside or nobody that could have done it. And I'm not sure who it was, but we both kind of just looked at each other like, you could just hear that. I can't remember who. I think it was me and maybe one or two other people. I can't recall.
Yeah, we had a few members that aren't with us anymore. And I really miss them. One of them actually started provoking that night, and we're like, no. You gotta stop right there, because we don't do that. And that's when we got really big on, you got to come to these meetings, and we got to educate ourselves on things we do and don't do, and beyond that. But yeah, some people just kind of waved it off. And I know everybody's got their own life, and this one particular person, she dances, and she's a beautiful dancer, and her dad's doing a really great job of supporting her. I just hope they come back someday. But yeah, it was a very interesting night. And then Glow, she got that picture of the entity, and it looked like a skeleton body with the head ablaze. Did you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. That sounds like a biker logo that you would see on the back of like some leather jackets.
Yeah.
You know, like a skeleton with like a blazing fire head.
Oh, Adnome has a couple questions. One right now being, how many changes of underwear do you bring on each hunt?
Don't need to.
No, but that might not be a
recommend-
bad idea, because sometimes we do have to stay there for quite a few hours. And
I recommend depends.
Yeah.
Oh, it
I think depends is really good.
And here at Four Corners Paranormal Investigations, we are all about hygiene. So
that's right. It's important.
I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'll spray like my smudge spray on my laundry, especially after like an investigation or something. Like my sage smudge spray, I'll spray it on my sheets if I have like some troubles, like nightmares or such things, or my teddy bear. I just did that actually, mainly because it smells good. But
yeah, it's good to have those things and use them whether you feel like you need to or just want to. But Richard, what were your thoughts on that investigation at Durango or Lake Durango or whatever it was?
I also picked up on the negative female entity and the amount of abuse that she had cast out. There was this kind of collective feeling, and not necessarily of the entities there, but the disparage, the horror, the neglect, kind of collectively. And then separately, the female negative entity present. That was
I remember her.
It was kind of chaotic having the drinking and the bonfire going and the party aspect, but I think was also an opportunity to kind of finally focus our skills, our senses, and that was really hard to kind of like block out. But I think again in the end with helping the family with some new ideas to deal with their son, I think was really powerful. And was really kind of an honor that we were there, for the living. But then with the dead there was definitely something going on there that just that trapped collective feeling. I don't think I'll ever forget that. That was really strong. That was really powerful. But I also wanted to chime in real quick on my scariest one, which was not with Four Corners Paranormal Investigations, but many years ago I was with a group called Art in the Park, and we had a bus, and we filled it up with every form of art, music, drawing, theater-related stuff, and we would go to different areas. And one of the places we ended up in was Bluff, Utah, and there's a pond to the right when you pull in town up behind this cabin log-like looking strip mall, not very large, maybe 4 or 5 businesses, very rustic. And then you go up the road behind it, and it went up to this pond. Well, we had all gone up there, and we'd had a few cocktails and whatnot, and we realized it was getting late, but that we decided we were going to camp by this pond. And so everybody decided to go back, except for me, and I hung out by the campfire. Within about 15 or 20 minutes, I started hearing footsteps just outside of the campfire light. And a couple moments I did see, I don't know if it was a shadow or if it was solid or what it was, but I picked up a few of the stones and some of the firewood that was around and kind of whipped it in the direction, trying to be as intuitive as possible, because this thing was moving fast, but I couldn't tell exactly where it was. And then I remembered all at once, I was in Skinwalker Central and by myself, and not knowing how long they were going to take and what types of things were going to slow them down in getting back there. I was just kind of getting really concerned for about 20, it was probably less than that. It felt like 25 minutes, probably more like 15. And I could hear breathing at times. And I was, it seemed very much that I was in the wrong spot. And when I shared this with everybody when they got back, we stayed for about another hour, and everybody said, let's just go back to the house that we had an option to stay in at. So, but that was the one where it felt like a constant threat to me. And the unwanted, overbearing, you are not wanted here feeling just came through so strong as I followed the sounds of whatever was out there, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Adnome in the chat room is asking, is a skinwalker and dogman the same? What do you think, Richard?
Is he talking more chupacabra or dogmen from where?
There have been sightings of dogmen who walk on their hind legs. Some have been seen wearing armor and carrying spears. Some just in their, fur.
Yeah, I can't really speak to the dogmen. If I was, I'd be lying. I just don't know enough about them. But as far as skinwalkers, the amount of stories from legitimate people that really had nothing to benefit from by, and I say legitimate, like big wigs on the reservation, state patrol, firemen. Governors even have had experiences, and then the depth of the history with it as well, and then a couple of experiences that I choose not to talk about besides that one in Bluff, just really come through really strong for me. And again, on the dogmen, I don't know enough and don't have an answer for you in that direction.
Yeah, I think that skinwalkers are different than dogman from what I've learned. One is like
hands down if they're carrying spears. Sorry, if they're carrying spears and wearing armor, no, absolutely not. And I got a little bit off the question there. Sorry, but I've never heard of a story of them carrying weapons. Outside of unusual weapons like bone beads that were dug up in family plots and turned into, like, bones that were dug up in family plots and turned into beads, which sometimes they people will wake up with an incision that's somewhat healed and later find out that they have to have a bone turned, as again, as I said before, turned into a bead with some markings into it, removed out of their arm. But I've never once heard about them carrying weapons or armor or anything on that level.
Metal, right? Nothing metal, just
Nothing metal, nothing wood. Not weapons, just more, might I say, devices or something that would radiate whatever type of energy was put into it.
power objects.
Does that
Not...
make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And we have another question here from Adnome, and I just have to mention, we often refer to this place as SOR Asylum, and so sometimes we have a question that makes us laugh, which is, to me, the best medicine. And Adnome is wondering, and we're going to need a math whiz for this one, in a group, as far as all of us together, how many gnomes fit in everyone's pocket at the same time on one ghost hunt?
Too many.
Yeah, I'm not good enough at math. I couldn't tell you.
A plethora?
Yeah. Well, I carry a backpack sometimes, so, I mean, quite a few can fit in there, honestly.
Nice.
Good question.
All right, so let's see, where should we go from here? What investigation that we've done would you guys like to touch on next? I know we did that.
Can I touch on about future investigations?
Right.
Or maybe we could do that next.
Yeah, well, we have the one coming up in Silverton that I'm really stoked about. What other thoughts did you have, Richard?
Well, I wanted to touch on UFOs a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And we've been talking about that for a while.
Okay. But real quick, anybody out there's listening, one thing I keep showing people over and over again that are skeptical, if anybody's tuned in that has any question marks in their noggin, is to look up Gordon Cooper and UFO, or Cooper and UFO, and just Google that and watch the actual footage, because that specific footage that you'll find when you look them up has kind of made some believers. And I really find it interesting, again, going back to, why would somebody of such stature, decorated war hero, decorated astronaut, just a hero across the board, family man, church-going man, a God-fearing man, and his whole career, his family, everything he's ever worked for, and then come out and say the words that he says in that footage. And I just find that hugely powerful. And if you haven't seen it, watch it. If you have issues in going there as far as believing, watch it. It's some of the best footage I find very truthful and powerful.
So, scary story time. So the scariest paranormal experience that I've ever had to deal with, and I've had, it's crazy to even talk about, and knock on wood, nothing happens to me about talking about this publicly, but usually it does, but whatever. I have woken up in my bed with extraterrestrials standing over my bed about 4 times. And 3 out of the 4 times, they were the tall grays, and they are malevolent, horrible feeling. You will never experience. It's not like a ghost. It's like almost like a demonic type energy, but it's different from even that. It's a very strange energy. Then there's the shorter ones, and they're more of the experimental type. They're not, you don't feel that same feeling with them. But one time I woke up and they were standing over my bed, and I somehow went back to sleep. I don't know if I just passed back out or what. This was not too long ago, within about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And then I woke up, it had to have been about 5 a.m. And what woke me up is this burning feeling in my ankle. And I woke up and there was 3 little dots, like in a triangle shape on my ankle, like bumps, but they looked like burns, almost like cigarette burns, but like protruding out of my skin. And the crazy part is they weren't insect bites, because like the pain went away like shortly. And I went online, and of course I Googled, like extraterrestrial this and that, and it showed all these pictures of people who supposedly were abducted or implanted, and the pictures looked identical, the triangle from what was on my ankle. And I mean, that has to have been the craziest experience that I probably have ever and will ever experience. And I just pray to God it doesn't happen again, because it's insane. I've never been abducted, like people say they lose time or whatever, but I have woken up and I've seen them like over my bed a couple of times. And I lived in a very high traffic kind of UFO type area.
Was this in Phoenix or?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, all of the times have been in Phoenix except for the time with the triangle thing. All of the other times have been in Phoenix except for that one, which was probably the scariest, because I looked it up and I'm like, it was just insane. The pictures that I saw looked just like, I even took a picture on my phone. We should post it on our Facebook or something, because I think I still have it, but I took a picture of this weird triangle thing. And the pain went away. Like, that's the weird part. It looked like a burn, but the pain went away within like minutes. It wasn't itching like a bite at all, so it wasn't like a bite, and it wasn't like a burn. It was like the pain woke me up, and it felt almost not quite like a burn, but comparable to a burn. It actually woke me up. And, I thought it was a bug bite or something, but there was no itch, no burn, nothing afterwards. After just a couple minutes, it went away. It's very, very strange.
Yeah.
And it was after I had woken up and passed back out somehow. It was very, very strange.
Well, BTO in the chat room is asking, Tall Grays from Orion, what other extraterrestrial / interdimensional beings you've experienced, both benevolent and malevolent?
The shorter ones, those shorter grays. I don't know exactly where any of the planets are. I've read different information about where the grays are from. There's a couple of different, there's another planet that starts with an A. I'm not sure what it's called, but I've looked that up before. But the shorter ones, they were not mean. They were like little mini scientists. They were kind of standing over me, and I wasn't really afraid. It was like they were just, kind of like poking at you. I mean, I didn't feel them, but it felt like they were just standing over, kind of like you would go to a doctor's office or a dentist or something. I didn't feel like I was afraid with them for some reason. And my mom has experienced those ones as well. Very strange.
Yeah, that's interesting. He also says Andromeda. So
I think
don't know.
Something like that. No, I'm not Andromeda. It's I have heard of Andromeda.
Robert asks Anunnaki.
Yes, that's the one. Anunnaki. Good job. I was going to say Anunnaki, but I guess that's how you say it. That's how I read it. But yes, I've read about that as well. I'm not sure what planet these guys were from. They didn't happen to tell me, and I didn't happen to ask at the moment. So maybe next time I'll ask them.
And Richard,
they don't kill me.
You sounded like you were going to say something to that.
To which aspect?
The one that BTO was asking about tall grays from Orion, extraterrestrial and interdimensional beings that you've experienced, both benevolent and malevolent. Have you had experiences, or you're just trying to guide people to a good speaker that you were talking about earlier?
Well, I was definitely trying to do that with Gordon Cooper. My experiences with UFOs and aliens hasn't been expansive at all, but over Michigan at a summer camp I was at as a child, we were all down on the beach and watched a light, which we're right across from Chicago, so pretty much like straight across Lake Michigan. And we saw this light go up, which resembled a helicopter, possibly a plane in the distance, going from west to east towards Michigan across the lake. And it got up maybe about what appeared like, I don't know how to even judge over the horizon, but maybe what seemed like a very slow ascent for about 10, 15 minutes. All of a sudden just took off to the northeast, not over us, but kind of past us up on the shoreline. And that was my first experience. And then my second one, my father and his girlfriend were out visiting here in Leidner Creek, and all of a sudden they started screaming for me to get out there, come quickly, run. And by the time I got out, all I saw was something speeding off, kind of like a trail of light in the sky. But when I asked my dad and his girlfriend what was going on, they said that they were staring at a very bright star or planet, and they weren't sure. They were trying to, through astronomy, figure out which one it was. And then all of a sudden it started to move and gradually was picking up speed, hence the excitement as they were, eventually telling me to run. And so I got to see the trail of that as it disappeared to the western part of this valley and over the mountain. But my real interest is that, is looking at all the other sightings and documentation and, finding out about the one down in Aztec that we still need to get out to, I think, as a group, at the Alien Run bike path and hiking path. But of course, Roswell, all that has been such an interest in my life. And then finding out, looking up in the stars at one point as a kid and just realizing that all those stars out there are actually suns. And maybe we should just call our sun either just a star all the time, or call those all suns in the sky that we see at night when we look up and see that big milky part of the Milky Way, because that really gives you a better perspective. Even though we're seeing just a few stars as far as how many are out there, every single one of those could have planets rotating around. And just recently with these better telescopes after the Hubble, getting those up and, and hearing my whole life, the chances of there being a planet just the right distance away from its sun are one in a trillion or something bigger than that. And, with these new telescopes, all of a sudden, boom, there's like, 7 or 8 blue and green planets that we now think could have life on them. So I think we're kind of on the apex of the hush hush stuff. And, I think we're going to see in our lifetime, we're going to see something amazing as far as some admittance, or possibly even the aliens coming through and say, okay, they really do need our help, and decide to really expose themselves completely. But yeah, so I'm just super stoked, and just even on just a scientific level, without experiencing beyond what I shared, I just think the possibilities are so large that it can't be kept down for much longer.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Richard, for sure. It just seems like we're right there at the edge of something. And there's a lot of people out there that feel that something is either coming or going to happen. There's this energy out there in the world right now, and it's not just those of us in the paranormal. It's everybody seems to be sensing something out there. And, it's almost like an anticipation of some kind.
They're
but
trying
I-
to make
I
space
think you're
great
right.
again.
Yeah.
The aliens are. Right.
Yep.
Well, Debbie, I was going to get to you next, but we did have a question from Adnom, and he's asking about, oh man, I just had it, astral projection and doing that, and actually our crew member that does our astral stuff, Linda, is not on with us tonight, but from what she says, she likes to envision little pink bunnies and throw them at dark entities. Little pink bunnies full of love.
I actually do quite a bit of astral projection. A lot of the spirits that I meet with that are crossed over, I astral project too. What was the question? They wanted to astral project? Is that what they're?
No, they're asking about if we use it on our team.
Oh, okay. Yes, the answer is yes. If we're about to go on an investigation, a lot of times I like to. I actually went to Silverton the other night. I was telling you, Tess, where you're. A lot of times you do astral project. You'll meet people before you actually meet them in real life. Your soul will kind of like leave your body at night in a way, and you're able to, or your spirit, I won't say your soul, your spirit kind of can leave. And so sometimes before an investigation, I like to go there before I actually go there. And the problem with that is just like a dream. Sometimes you don't necessarily remember going there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you work on trying to remember your dreams and write down your dreams quite a bit, then eventually you can get to the point where you can kind of forcefully go somewhere or do something intentionally when you go to bed, when you focus on it and meditate on it. Sometimes you can do that and go somewhere prior to an investigation. Sometimes I'm able to do that. So I think we all kind of do that, because I've actually been somewhere before. I've actually been there physically, and I've actually seen team members there. Like Tessa, I saw you. We were on our way to Silverton the other night, which is very interesting. And then we had all these cool rocks, and we were like driving, and it was cool. I don't remember the basis of it. I don't remember. It was very positive. So I have a feeling Silverton's going to be cool. Yeah, but you were there, so you're probably actually there. But like even I don't hardly remember most of it. I just kind of remember the feeling of it and kind of a few flashes of what was going on, but you were there.
Yeah, I'm seeing trees. There's lots of trees along the road.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering if I'm just flashing on that because you're mentioning, Silverton and the trip there, or if I'm actually seeing
flashing it kind of in my mind. It's like trees, but you're driving, but it's like flash of trees kind of close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like seeing that. But you were in my dream. We were together on our way to Silverton, and then we eventually got there, but I don't remember any other. I feel like it was just an astral. Like we just went there and it was there. And
Nice.
then, before we went to the Vicita, I guess it's called the lake house or whatever. Before I went there, I actually went there. And when I went there, there was a couple of other members there as well, which was really cool. And one of which I don't think I had met yet. And I don't remember who it was. And I just kind of recall being there with somebody. And I think Richard might have been there that time too. I'm not positive. But like we all kind of do it. We just don't know that we do it, and we don't pay attention to it, and we don't. A lot like the key to astraling is intention. You have to be like, okay, so I need to go there tonight, and sometimes it takes a couple nights before you can actually go there, and you might be on some other like mission or something at that time that's more important, so you don't, or you might not be in a phase where you're remembering your dreams.
Yeah, I have a hard time astraling, and I actually accidentally did it once, probably a couple times, but the last time that I remember, I was house sitting for Glow and watching her to Doberman Pinschers, and I remember falling asleep on the couch, but then kind of waking up and trying to get up, but I rolled off the couch and was kind of stuck in a crawling position, and every time that I'd try to get up, I couldn't. I felt like I describe it as a drunk baby.
Oh, wow.
And then I remember trying to go back to the couch and then waking up on the couch and being like, wow, I think I just tried to unintentionally astral out of my body. And I just worry, like, if I astral out, am I going to be able to get back?
Always.
Yeah.
Imagine this. There is a, and this is what I read somewhere or something that described this. There is a cord that is like a silvery
chain.
Yes, and it can't be cut. You know, you're protected when you're astral. And the thing is, sometimes though, when I want to astral somewhere, it's like, and I don't know if it was you I was talking to about this, but sometimes it feels like you can't, or it's not safe or something. And that's kind of just your protection, your guide saying like, no, don't do this right now. Nothing can enter your body or anything crazy like that, but you want to keep yourself protected. When you're doing it, you want to make sure that you're in a safe place and you're protected, because otherwise you can get, there's just certain things that can happen, sleep paralysis and that type of deal. Like if you are not at the moment. So I feel like sometimes you have that protection over you.
Yeah. And that's the number one above the not being able to get back to my body is somebody jumping in before I get back.
No.
And being like, hey, that's my shell. Get out of there.
No, I was worried about that too. And then I did a bunch of reading on it, 1 year. And it makes sense because the amount that we actually astral and we don't know it is amazing. Like we probably, every one of us astrals every night. It's just a matter of remembering it and then being in control, just like lucid dreaming, being in control of where you go and what you do, kind of type of deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Just takes practice.
Yeah. I don't know. I might get into it someday, but right now I'm comfortable where I'm at. And then Debbie, I wanted to get back to you. Did you grow up in the land of UFO crashes, or did you actually just go to school there? And did you have any alien UFO experiences?
Actually, when it comes to UFO experiences, I really haven't had a UFO experience yet. The thing is that I've been trained in weather observation and, of course, aviation meteorology. And so if I were to see anything, I would be right away analyzing, That's just the way my mind works. I went to college in Roswell, but I'm not from there. I'm actually from Cleveland. And by way of 7 different western states, because I've worked around as a park ranger here and there and stuff like that. So I've been in the Bay Area, and I've been up in the mountains in California, and then I've been down in Arizona and New Mexico, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, everywhere, So I've been a lot of places, and as yet, I can't exactly say that I've really seen a UFO, and I've been hoping to find one. But I have seen lots of other kinds of things. Watery, ghost-looking figures, shadow figures. And I think my scariest experience really was a shadow figure at Scotty's Castle in Death Valley. That one just made my blood run cold. It's probably Bessie.
It was Bessie. It was Bessie.
Yeah, it was a shadow figure looking out from behind the door that just popped out, when I was opening the castle one morning. And it was a tiny figure, and so I thought it was one of the other rangers who was a small gal. And it turned out she was in the VC. She was in the visitor center, just, opening up over there. And man, did that just make my blood run cold. I don't know why, because Bessie was a very religious person. I don't know why it scared me so much. Even the watery, cellophane-looking people that I've seen didn't scare me. They amazed me. But that shadow figure, that black figure, did scare me. Yeah.
Bessie didn't like people being in her house. That was the problem.
Could be.
Another thing that we need to remember, if there are beings that can move from star to star to star and possibly from galaxy to galaxy to galaxy, when you look at, for example, our stealth capabilities that we knew about 20 years ago, were just like, groundbreaking new disappearing acts. And if you have that ability, that intelligence to move that far and through possibly time or portholes or just to travel those distances at high speeds, your stealth capabilities, we could be mistaking a lot of ghosts for aliens. They could walk right into our house and we wouldn't know it if they didn't want us to know it. They could be right up in the sky. We're looking at a perfectly blue, beautiful day sky. We see nothing. We could be looking right through 7 ships. I think it's important that we really step outside the box when thinking about what capabilities would even be for us 10,000 years down the road, let alone 100 years down the road.
Richard, well, you just brought me to that, and a lot of the things that you keep saying I just wanted to know what your take on this is. If you've ever looked up star seeds, like how our souls, or even our genetic makeup can be from these particular planets.
I have not looked up star seeds. Can you do a little schooling both to me and our listeners and whatnot?
Well, it's a pretty widespread subject, and I'm just gonna. There's so many like conflicting information and opinions out there on it, but basically, it's basically like your soul or your genetic makeup, depending on who you're talking to, or your astrological makeup even, can determine what planet you are from. And starseeds in general are people with just different types of people with different types of, I don't want to say abilities, but the traits. There's always that theory of, the ancient aliens deal where, we have possibly some alien DNA in us from ancient times and that type of deal. But this one goes even more, and I'm not sure if it's spiritual or astrological, but there's all these different, there's Orion, there's Vega, there's Andromeda, all these different star system, basically planets that, different types of people with different types of traits might actually be from in some form. It's a very cool subject.
Yeah, meaning that a bunch of different peoples from different planets brought their kind here and intermixed with a species that was already here, or brought us here completely, yes. And we are foreign.
I think there is both, and I think that there is a lot of different information out there, but if you look at the specific types like the Orion or the Andromeda or the Vega or there's other ones out there, they all kind of have different types of character traits, and you can go crazy on this stuff on the internet and be like, oh my god, I'm from this planet, and I've done that. I've gone on benders on it before, but it's a lot. It's just very interesting. A lot of it has to do with your soul, but then there's other theories that it actually has to do with your physical makeup, which would make sense. We all have we're all from different countries and origins and things like that. So there could be different alien species that's mixed in with us, or we could all completely be from another planet. We don't know that. There's the whole evolution thing, but what if somebody from other planets came down and they did breed with monkeys, and then that's who we are.
And Jamie, what's your view on that?
To me,
Jamie.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I can honestly say I view things from an anthropological background, so I'm very analytical. So show me the evidence, but anything is possible.
Look at the Egyptians. Look at the Egyptians and what they, what
they're,
that type of a deal. They say they're these creatures that came from the sky and they became, just they're like God people, And I'm not saying that everybody's necessarily from space. I do believe in evolution. I do believe I believe in everything basically. But that's why I'm open to this type of stuff, because you can't rule it out that perhaps.
No, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much out there that has been lost to us over time.
Mm-hmm.
That we're not going to find because it's just been, eroded.
Well, yeah, and they didn't keep track of everything either.
Right.
Yeah, there's whole gaps. There's whole gaps in our existence. Like I feel like there's a huge gap. Like there's a huge missing piece between monkeys and humanity. Like there's a whole missing. What was the in between?
Why are there still monkeys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's another thing. What the heck happened to them? Do they not have the right nourishment or something, or what?
Y'all's crazy. Y'all's got to stay monkeys. I'm just kidding.
Right? Right.
I kind of see it three different ways. Either we were here through evolution, or we were dropped off in kind of a mixed breed kind of way with something that was here, or we were an 8th grade science experiment gone wrong, and they have too big a heart to just throw us away, and they dropped us off, and now we're back to study us saying, holy shit, what did we create, and who the hell is Trump?
So that's the theory that God created us, and then he's like, okay, well, I guess.
What did I do?
It's already done,
Well, on that note,
let's just let it play out.
We actually have to go to our second commercial break. So you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens, or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Coming September 28th to the 30th, it's our first annual Caribou Paracon, put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. 3 days of paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual knowledge in the beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Tickets are $150 Canadian for the event, being held at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Come watch our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Lorian Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, and more. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
When it comes to the news, we look for the stories that the mainstream won't cover. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter. This is News Director Everett Thiemer. The Encounter is about the weird and strange stories that occur daily, and we scour the world looking to bring them to you. You can hear me with Dave Scott every Monday through Friday in our Encounter news segment. Read us online at spacedoutradio.com or check us out and give our Facebook page a like at SOR The Encounter. So come give The Encounter a read.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your Four Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Looking for nighttime adventure? Old school radio that delves into everything out of the norm? Then check us out at Spaced Out Radio. This is Dave Scott. Every Monday through Friday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, we're going to take you on a wild ride ranging from conspiracies to true crime and every ghost, alien, and Sasquatch story in between. We're always live, and we're always interactive with you. So join us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, we own the night.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month, where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Tonight's show and topic of discussion do not necessarily reflect the opinion of Spaced Out Radio, SOR Media, or its hosts. Listener discretion is advised. It's hour number 3 of Spaced Out Sunday with host Tessa Nicole Thomas. Follow Tessa on Twitter at TessaTNT. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now back to the Rocky Mountains. Here's Tessa.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's so great to have you all on tonight listening, and we have made it to our 3rd hour, and that means you guys can call in if you'd like. And the number to call in with questions is 970-335-9596. That's 970-335-9596. And unfortunately, Deb had to check out as she actually drives the shuttle for the Grand Imperial in the railroad station. So tonight we're here with Mel, Jamie, Mia, and Richard. Welcome back, guys. So great to have you on.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I had to get out of that. Sorry
Good
about
to
the
be
background
back.
noise.
Good to be back.
Great to have you. So on the break, we were talking a bit about Rico, and that's another investigation / adventure we went on. Who would like to start with that?
I would like to start.
Go ahead,
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead, girl.
I was just thinking we were trying to investigate upstairs where most of the activity was, and Mr. Skeptic was staying in the most haunted room and had me sage it completely and cleanse it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you kicked him out in the hallway, and we were up all night, all of us.
Mm-hmm. As I remember, there wasn't much activity either after Mr. Skeptic had me.
Not in my room. Not in my room, but that hallway had issues.
I woke up and that what is that the light thing that spins around? What is that called?
Oh, the periscope?
Yes, it was going nuts. I woke up, I heard like little pit patting. I saw that thing going crazy, and I wanted to wake up somebody else and just be like, "Are you guys seeing this?" Like, and I just stared at it. It was crazy.
I had already gone to bed.
Yeah, no, everyone was in bed, and I wanted so badly to wake somebody up, but I didn't know Tess was up already, but it was scary. Not scary, but well, yeah, scary in a way, because I'm like, I have no one to share this with, and this thing's going crazy, and I don't know what to do, like to sit here, and I'm not awake enough to like record it yet or move, and I'm kind of scared to move, and it's pretty cold.
Yeah, I remember hearing two or three big thuds, and I remember people's heads popping out the doors. Was that you? Was that you? Was that you? And that was insane. But from the graveyard to going to the other buildings in the area, and again getting that invite back from the mayor, kind of.
The mayor with his dog in the post office, like what a cool town. Everybody brings their dogs in like all the stores, like it's so cool.
Yeah, and the wonderful lady at the museum, I'll never forget her. I wish she would adopt me as a grandmother, being that mine have passed. But that place. So I had this raging toothache, and it was just throwing me. Wait, why is everybody laughing?
No reason.
No, you sure?
So you had a raging toothache.
Toothache. Yeah. And almost didn't go because of it, but I thought maybe that form of escape might be better than others I was thinking about. So, in the form of spirits and what have you. But that whole building, knowing that it was built for a mine historically, I found incredibly interesting. And so the design upstairs as a brothel, brought another aspect to it as well. But I was so emotionally uncomfortable and letting go of the raging toothache, just constantly feeling like I was going to roll over either direction and either see someone, or to the point where I chose to lay there still as much as I possibly could. But hearing the stomps in the hallway and thinking, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Maybe it'd be easier to just leave them in this room and I go elsewhere and just sleep in the hallway or something. Would have been better and a little bit quieter that evening. But the back of the main level of the bar, in the bathrooms and in that back kitchen, was another experience where I had the hair raise up as I was walking around with the camera. And I don't know if you ever found the footage of that or not, Tessa, but there was a couple moments there where you could just see me kind of turn the camera real quick because I was expecting to see something or felt that, there was somebody there, and it was not happy to see you. It was not welcoming or just that they were checking me out. It was that awkward kind of semi go away you don't belong here kind of feeling in that back.
Yes. That's a perfect way to describe it. Yes. Like, go away. Like if you catch somebody, let's say hypothetically, you catch somebody like, I don't know, trying to get rid of a body or, trying to sell drugs in a back room, or like they're almost caught doing something bad. That's that same feeling. That's that same feeling, almost like a mean kind of criminally type behavioral mindset feeling of like, what the heck are you doing down here? You need to leave type of feeling. Yeah. It's exactly
like
how
you're
it felt.
Like they were going to be caught in the act, or they didn't want you to see something. The guilt maybe even would be a good word to attach to that. That was really, really powerful. And then seeing the orbs when we sat down at some of the tables towards the back of the bar and facing forward. And I remember jumping, and I was playing with someone's phone. It wasn't mine because I still don't have the app
think
downloaded.
It was mine.
Shame on me. I only have my flashlight and Insight Timer. Did I tell you guys I work for Insight Timer? In fact, everybody should check out Insight Timer as an app. No, I'm just kidding. But that seeing the orbs move through the camera viewing area, and then seeing something almost like dust, but not flapping, just moving, just kind of glowing and rising up, was really one of the biggest moments I've had with Four Corners Paranormal Investigations, and I'll never forget that one too. And that one was almost as or on the same level, I'd say, as up at the lake house in Vallecito when that orb came towards us and through the girl's phone, and then seeing something behind that, whatever was being picked up on the phone and what was actually there. I don't know what was more accurate, but something was definitely moving and did not feel, it was not a bug. It was not a moth. It was, not a piece of dust. This was something that had intention.
And we actually did film this, so it's on Four Corners Paranormal Investigations Facebook page. But I remember also when we first started out having that Periscope 360 out back there by the bathrooms where a couple of us had experiences. That kept going off and showing different directions and whatnot, and it was pretty interesting. We had a lot of activity and energy going on there.
It was very active, yes. And then the cemetery, I still haven't been able to upload that footage, but that orb that I caught there in the cemetery.
Yeah, and it wasn't just an orb, it was a light orb.
Yeah,
it was actually showing light on the video. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and then decided to follow Tessa and Mia as they walked back towards the back of the cemetery. That was fun.
I liked the Masonic headstone with, I forget what the guy's name was, Tom, I think it was. And the name Tom actually was pulled up on either the Ghost Radio or one of our devices. Tom came up a couple of times and came to speak with us. I believe it was in the cemetery. But that was, the headstone name was Tom something, and he had a big Masonic symbol on it, and it was one of the largest headstones in the cemetery. And then we found the lodge, that creepy lodge, that abandoned but still kind of in working order Masonic lodge. That was interesting.
I still have the picture on my phone of that face or whatever it was up in
the window.
The window, yeah.
Yeah.
Where was this, at that shack you were talking about, or what?
The Masonic lodge.
The lodge, yeah, across from the post office, I believe it was.
You gotta show me
we were
that.
looking at it on the way out of town.
Yeah.
On the way out of town.
Yeah, we went up to that, and then we went into the museum.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, I just had this overwhelming feeling of being watched. And took a picture of that window, and I thought it was a dog face. My mother looked at it, and she said, "No, that's a skull."
Yeah,
Many
you gotta
different
send that to me.
interpretations.
I don't remember seeing that picture. I gotta see that.
You
I
don't
gotta
remember?
see it.
I'll have to show you.
Yes.
I'll show you.
And Rico was just so amazing. And after we had done our investigation that night, we actually went up to the mine and snooped around there. And I thought it was funny. You guys are rock hounding, and I'm looking for Bigfoot tracks.
I couldn't.
Mia, was
I could
it gold?
not. I couldn't know. Of course, it was pyrite because,
yeah.
But at the same time, it was that other stuff that looks like pyrite, but it's more of a silvery, kind of a steel colored, not malachite. I don't know what it might be malachite. I'm not sure, but I still have a bunch of it, and I don't regret that for a second because it was so awesome. I would actually go back there, and it was so cool that they caught us. Tessa and I were doing the trespass dance because there's a no trespass sign,
like the
which
safety
is not
dance,
good, guys.
but
Don't
the
do
trespass
it.
dance.
The trespass, the pass and the trespass.
Richard.
The trespass pass dance.
Maybe we should move on and not incriminate ourselves.
But
no. But the best part was the guy
I'm
that.
teasing. I'm teasing.
But it was cool that the guy that was supposed to be like looking over the property or whatever, he saw us trespassing it, and he didn't even care. Like, he opened the gate for us, basically. So it worked out.
Funny,
well, I
you
did.
guys should mention that.
Go ahead.
I just said that's funny. You guys should mention that because I just found my stash of them, rocks and gun shells that I found up there.
And I gave you that one, and then I was like, it was a white one, and it had that silver in it, like Mia was just talking about. And right after I gave it to you, I was like, man, I should have kept it, but I think it needed to go to you. That was his home, and I was like, if anything ever happens to you, I shall inherit this rock.
I have lots of rocks, so don't worry about that.
I gave it to Jamie.
Love my rocks. Yeah, she needed it.
We found that tree that was cut down, and that didn't.
No, that devastated me.
Yeah, that was really sad.
Of
but
all the huge old trees in the area to cut down.
Yeah, it was crazy, and it was still healthy, but I guess whatever. Somebody needed firewood, or they felt like it might fall over eventually, or something. I don't know, but it was pretty sad. It had lived a long life, and it had more life to live, but for some reason they whacked it down. But I did end up finding some Bigfoot tracks and taking pictures of it with like my foot beside it, or marking where the toe was and the heel was, and taking pictures of that. And then we went back down the mountain and to grab lunch and whatnot. And there was actually a mother and daughter in there that was talking about how they had spotted an albino Bigfoot having coffee one morning on their back porch in that clearing of aspen trees that you see right outside the Enterprise's back door there. So I'd like to go back and investigate, and we actually got a key from the mayor to come back and explore anywhere we wanted to.
He was so cool.
Yeah, we got to get back on that.
He's like in sandals, walking his dog into the post office, no leash. Everyone knows each other's dogs. They just walk around and wander on their own. Like, it's the coolest. Every town should be like that. But let's promote Rico to all the listeners if they come to Colorado. Definitely not in the wintertime, but Rico's such a cool little town, like very little town. Like, if you're going to go to Telluride, check out Rico.
And they just went through a fire as well.
Oh, they did? No.
Yeah, they went. So when we had that 416 fire, they had their own one going on over there. But yeah, I think this is almost a year to the day, kind of.
Pretty much, kind of.
Yeah, we were up there because I know the aspens were so beautiful, and they're higher elevation, so they're ahead of us with the fall. But I would love to go back there and I would say go to the Enterprise bar and rent a room upstairs. Yes. They'll probably give you a fair deal. And, but I think that should be another trip. And I think maybe we should try to round up some, potential interested parties.
Yes. And the Enterprise, how old is that place? Let's tell them about the Enterprise. It's so cool. It's like 100 and something years old, this bar, and it used to be a brothel.
Oldest. Yeah, third oldest in the state.
The third oldest in the state. That is
1883.
insane.
Let me bring up the picture.
If I recall it, I thought they said it was like 106 years old or something along those lines.
And
but I'm not
BTO and Robert are in here. What type of coffee did Bigfoot order is what Robert said, and BTO said an albino Sasquatch drinking coffee. Forget about it. But I'm not saying that the Bigfoot was drinking coffee. All right, this isn't coffee talk. Now, the mom and daughter were having coffee on their back porch together when up on the side of the mountain they saw the albino Sasquatch clear this opening of trees in like 4 steps. Like that's how big it was, but I guess my words get misconstrued sometimes. What can I do?
But wasn't it like 2 years ago up in Silverton, there was some paranormal group, or maybe it was straight just Bigfoot search group. I can't remember, but our DA here chimed in the paper when the whatever group this was said if they did see one, they would shoot it, which is pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
But our DA here in Durango chimed in and said if somebody did that, being that this is La Plata County, this is where that kind of a court case would come to, that he would put the person that shot the creature in jail for murder. And I thought that was pretty powerful, whether it was, kind of a little side joke or not. It was interesting, his response nonetheless.
I think it's pretty
Even
interesting.
more so.
Go ahead.
Even more so because there was a young man who it was a conspicuous murder because their young man came forward and said he was wearing a Halloween costume. You're talking about the one where people spotted it from the train? Yeah,
in
spotted from the
Silverton?
train. Yeah, up there near Silverton. People spotted from the train.
I gotta applaud anybody who pulls pranks on that level.
Yeah, right.
I would like to shake his hand. Anybody? Yeah, I mean, you could get shot.
You would like to pick his brain for wisdom.
Yeah, maybe figure out how to help him come up with a little better one.
How to one-up him, yeah, of course.
How to one-up himself, because I'm not going to go out there in a suit. There's no fucking way.
No.
You do a good job, Richard.
Can I say that?
You can't say the F words or SH words or nothing like that.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I take full responsibility.
No worries. But I was going to say, in the state of Washington, and actually Oregon and Texas, Sasquatch or Bigfoot is protected. And the state atlas for Washington State actually has Sasquatch under the S section, and it used to be a felony, but now it's like the highest degree of misdemeanor that you can get if you are caught harassing Bigfoot or shooting it.
What define harassing though? Because
just like harassing wildlife,
But what if you're just saying like, "Hey, what's up?" Is that harassment?
Or
I don't know.
if you made fun of how long his fur was or something like that, is that harassment?
That's just rude. Do not talk about his feet or his face or his size or his hunchback. You have to be like respectful.
Yeah. Be respectful to the poor critter and don't tease him with jerky. It never turns out good.
What happens if Bigfoot is harassing? What if Bigfoot's harassing you, though?
Right. I don't know. Even with mountain lions in Colorado, if you shoot one, you get in pretty big trouble. And it's like, well, it was stalking me. What am I supposed to do? Well, just get out of the area.
Yeah.
Well, what if it eats you before you get out of the area? Like, what are you really supposed to do?
This is true. It's like sometimes it's like, you can't take your humanity away. Like we are still humans, and despite what weapon that we use, if we're in danger, we should be able to at least have a chance to protect ourselves, especially against wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
You can't negotiate with a mountain lion if they're hungry and you have a chihuahua with you. That's just, begging to be murdered.
Speaking of upcoming investigations,
Mm-hmm.
we do have that lady up in Cedar's Edge.
Right.
In fact,
yeah.
I just got a lot of photos from her that I need to show you guys.
Oh, wow.
They ran across a lot of footprints.
Yeah, she's got Bigfoot and Faye up there, correct?
Yes, she does. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the Fae is running the show and kind of bossing the Bigfoot around or causing it to do things it wouldn't generally do.
According to Linda, that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm picking up on that.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. We got to get that out of the way, and it sucks that she sold her other property, especially before we could get up there and help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did we have Linda or somebody doing an astral on that?
She did, and she's waiting to see what this lady says if she continues to have problems before she, lets loose her findings.
Mm-hmm.
So we're waiting to see if things clear up. So.
Yeah, and they actually have the realtor law now. They don't really have to disclose any paranormal or other activity to you when selling a property. Which I think sometimes it should be, because that's why houses are passed on and on and on, because people can't live there for more than 3 months. And they had some pretty brutal stuff happening as they were trying to get it ready for the people coming in. She fell and her teeth went through her lip. And I remember she was on the after party with us for, until 6:30 in the morning, having issues talking. And her daughter broke her arm in half, basically.
Yeah.
I'm hearing
Sorry
some
about the background noise. Yeah, I tried to run. I was covering the microphone and I was running through the living room because I need to go get a charger.
Aw.
Don't want to die on here.
So BTO in the chat room is saying, so from a spiritual and soulful perspective, do you feel that this is the only universe? Who is the creator of the universe? And have any of you know beyond this universe is unique universal creator selves?
Wow, we're getting some great questions tonight.
For sure.
Wow.
That's really deep. That is really...
One more time.
From a spiritual and soulful perspective, do you feel that this is the only universe? Who is the creator of this universe? And have any of you known beyond this universe as unique universal creator selves?
Wow.
With having no proof, simply said, not easy for Richard to do. I would say that until I have proof, all answers are options.
That's a good answer.
E, all of the above. E.
Yeah.
I think there is more than one universe. My favorite reference is from Men in Black, and you show the alien and he's rolling the marble, and the marble is just a tiny marble, and that's like what we consider to be the universe. I totally think that that's real. I think there is like a universe within a universe, and we really could be, in comparison, simply like an atom. Our whole universe that we know of could be like an atom on another crazy creature in another dimension. So as far as the creator, I think the creator is energy. I think energy is all creation. Energy creates beings, and beings, not beings, but just a lot of it has to do with energy. I think that there are spirits that have never been human that are made up of energy, and so that's as far as I get. That's as much as I got.
He also says, what are the proof you need from a 5 sense perspective? Are you referring to a parallel universe or universes?
Well, I know because I was raised in a very spiritual background, and I know that in the Bible it does talk about other universes, and that we are a example for all the other universes, so that they know what not to do or what to do, depending on how you look at it. So I think there's other universes out there. So yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Right.
I agree. There might be such thing as a parallel universe. You really have to wonder, they have this planet that they discovered that's very close to Earth as far as its composition and, the air and whatever. There could be life on it. What if there is like another parallel, just a parallel Earth or something like that? That'd be cool.
Andrew says, I've heard from different people that claim Bigfoot is interdimensional. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Agree, 100%.
I haven't seen one yet.
I think he's something between monkeys and humans.
Mel?
Interdimensional monkeys and humans?
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen one, so I mean, I don't have an opinion either way.
Yeah, I think it's just so hard for people to wrap their minds around it because, it is virtually impossible to find them. And if you do see them, it's just like a lucky, happening. And then people wonder, why are the pictures blurry when we get pictures? Maybe it's because they're moving really fast, or maybe there's Bigfoot ghosts. I don't know.
I think so. Like fairies or something like that, they kind of can cross into our dimension, which is probably why like you don't always see them because you have to kind of be in a clear space in between kind of dimensions to see them, or they have to be kind of crossing into our dimension somehow. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think anything's possible. And I have heard so many cases where fairies and Bigfoot are working together. I don't know whether or not it's the fairy bossing the Bigfoot around or what's going on there, but they seem to be tied together, and people have even mentioned Bigfoot and aliens being seen together. So that's interesting as well. Shar was wondering who created energy. And she also says, if Earth weren't so special, they wouldn't all be coming here.
That's a good point. I can't disagree with that. We could be part of
There was an episode of The Bionic Man that had Bigfoot in it. And his cave that they eventually found was actually the entrance to where there was a spaceship.
Nice.
And so I don't know if anybody ever saw that episode, but that's, interesting that somebody used that as a premise. But my guess with that would be, and again, coming from the place that Bigfoot is something between a human and a monkey, or something along the line of our development that just kind of grew off in a different direction. But what I find really believable about it is one of the biggest sayings I hear in Durango about mountain lions: if you don't see them, that's okay. They see you.
That's right.
And if a mountain lion can have that kind of stealth, imagine what a more human, but still with animal abilities, possibly even more strong in the senses, that it could keep itself away from us and know enough to hide its feces, hide its dead, bury its dead. Who knows, and so I think if you were to take a creature that was more developed with a little more human traits from a mountain lion, well, that could very well be some other species that can avoid us.
That's my take on the whole view. Who would want to interact with us? We're such a screwed up species.
Unless we were, some sort of experiment. But we are overtaking so much land and everything, so it just seems like, the more land we consume, the more creatures that we discover. And will we ever truly discover everything in the ocean? I mean, there's so many different creatures out there that we don't even know about. I just find it interesting that state and government money was spent on the Washington Atlas. You would think that what they're putting in there is legitimate and they wouldn't be putting fairy tales in there. You don't see them protecting the Tooth Fairy or Santa Claus or anything like that. Like Sasquatch is protected and noted in there. And so I find that pretty interesting, being that it is a government run thing.
Mm-hmm. And it's also, like, from a scientific standpoint, it's very possible that an ape-like large creature, you know, is or was, you know, like, it's basically like a more developed, you know, more like a gorilla or something. And they find animals all the time that they thought were extinct. I just read an article the other day. They found something that they thought was extinct. You know, so the possibility true. Of it is very scientifically, it is possible.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys heard any stories around the Pleasant View, Dove Creek, and other areas in the Four Corners of little dinosaurs?
That's cool, though.
Not dinosaurs. I've heard a lot of other stories, but not dinosaurs, no.
My nephew would like that.
Like a monitor, or like...
Well, it looks
what size?
It looks like a T-Rex, but it's very small, at least like 10 or 12 inches tall. But it looks just like a T-Rex. It's got the short upper arms and the long tail and the same head and everything. And they've also seen the Thunderbird there, or pterodactyls or whatnot. I mean, there's pretty interesting stuff. I was just wondering if you guys had heard anything about that. I did pull up a picture that this lady had taken in Pleasant View that was pretty interesting, and it just showed this little dinosaur on the side of the road, and there's other pictures like it as well and different sightings posted. I found it pretty interesting.
It's close enough. Let's go play.
Yeah, let's go play. That sounds good. Let's go check it out.
Yeah,
and we can do some ghosting and sky watching as well.
Mm-hmm. See, a lot of us, we don't watch the sky. You know, I've had very close encounters, and I have also seen a couple of UFO things, the Phoenix Lights, and I think there was one other experience also. But we don't, this is just what we have caught. How often do you really just sit out there, excluding you, Richard, and stare at the sky? You know, I'm just kidding.
I do.
Totally kidding. Yeah, but I don't. Well, me, I don't. I think there was a time that I did, and sometimes I'll glance up at it and look at the stars because they're so pretty here. But you know, I don't really just sit out there and look. You know, as much as I used to. And it's like a lot of us don't. So there could be stuff going on all the time. We just don't see it. Unless it's there for quite a while, like quick things. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be in there or there for an hour like the Phoenix Lights. You know, like it moves quickly. I mean, wouldn't it move quickly? Wouldn't they, if they have the technology to come here or near here? Wouldn't, I mean, there's no way they'd just be sitting there unless they have like some reason why they're doing it. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to be moving fast.
What were you going to say, Jamie?
I said I look all the time and I don't see anything. But on that same note, what are we looking at? Are we looking at a meteorite, or are we looking at something like Mia said, going so fast to get out of line of sight?
I've accidentally caught UFOs by just taking pictures of the night sky and the moon and the color it's putting through the clouds, and it seemed odd for the moon. Like I'd never seen this blue hue and this smoky fogginess that was going on in the sky, nowhere near the ground. And I actually caught several UFOs on there, and those are posted on our Four Corners Paranormal Investigations website. But then I've also seen with my naked eye.
With my naked eye.
Yeah.
That song.
But it was coming through the backyard. It was along the fence line, and it was about 3 or 4 feet in diameter. and it looked like it had liquid fire flowing through it. So you get the red, the orange, the yellow flowing through it in like a clockwise manner, and it looks like liquid, and it's contained within this shell of a pretty big orb, and it was moving at a slow walking pace through the backfield. And previous to that, we saw something similar, but it was higher up in the sky, and so it looked much smaller, and it was the same colors. And then just recently when we went to Arkansas to bury my uncle, coming back through, I believe it was Aden, Texas or something like that. I saw one within the field of, I don't know what that background noise is, within the field of these, I guess it was the windmills that collect energy, and it was like hundreds of miles worth of fields of windmills, and all you see is red lights up there so the planes don't run into them. But then all of a sudden there was this, it looked like windows, and I'm showing my brother Aaron, I'm like, hey, do you see that? Like, it looks, I see the red lights, but look at those windows up there. He's like, oh, it's probably just like some sort of lookout tower or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's the first one I've seen, and I continue to watch it, and we're on a flat plane, not going uphill or downhill, but this thing is moving up above these lights and then moving down, down, down until basically it hits the ground, and then it goes back up and then back down. And so we're both just staring at it and watching it. And then, he's sitting there trying to, reason it, and, well, it could be this, could be that, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden it zips off into space, like nowhere. And he's like, all right, yeah, that was a UFO. Like, that thing just zipped off into space. So that was the most recent one, and that was this last summer. And it was different than the other ones I'd seen. It was more of a disc-like craft with windows on the top. It was pretty cool.
Oh. Is somebody's cat furry?
It sounds like it.
Sir Marcus decided. Sir Marcus decided.
Is that a bong or is that a cat?
It's a cat.
That is Sir Marcus.
Sir Marcus.
He decided he needed a cuddle. Yeah.
Aww.
Kitty needs love. Well, we got about 16 more minutes till the end of the show. What else would you guys like to talk about? Any other cases that we failed to mention that...
Were we going to take calls?
Well, we put that out there, but people are like, well, what would I ask? But again, the number, if you do want to call in and ask us anything, is 970-335-9596. That's 970-335-9596.
Or if they'd like to share a story or something that happened to them.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's cool too. Very, very cool.
Well, what are your guys' thoughts on, and this, I've never seen one, but they really intrigue me. Have any of you guys had any encounters with black-eyed children?
Besides my own?
Yeah.
My nephews? Yeah.
That's bad.
Sorry.
I know of the flower called the black-eyed Susan, the rudbeckia.
Rudbeckia.
But, is this in the direction of like crystal children, amethyst children, things on that level?
Well, it's black-eyed children, supposedly, and I'm hearing background noise again, they show up, at your door, ask to come in and use the phone or whatever. At first they can appear normal, but when you look back at them, their eyes are just black. But they're always trying to get in, and they can't come in unless you invite them in, whether it's your car, which is an extension of your home, or your actual home. And they have actually been sighted on a lot of native land as well. They've been showing up there. Do you think it's demonic, or do you think it's something altogether different?
That is crazy, and I don't know anything about that. I'd have to read more, but I'd love to know more. I don't think I want to deal with that. That doesn't sound good, honestly.
I watch too much Supernatural black eyes means demon.
Well, yeah.
What
I mean,
came
anything
up-
with pitch black eyes that wants to come in your house. I mean, that would be scary. That's like if Charles Manson came to my door and he just stared at me and he's like, "Could I have some coffee or something?" Like that's.
Yeah, you look like you really need it.
Yeah, right.
This will help those bags. I got tons of luggage under here. Maybe coffee works.
So that sounds, if you're staying a lot on reservations, the first place I went to, again, was Skinwalkers.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Different form,
Yeah.
some different version, somebody's own twist on it, something on that level.
I heard that they're shapeshifters. That they like to wrap themselves in blankets, but they can shift into animals also.
Yes, and
black-eyed children?
also a good example, but a positive one was the character Jimmy in Thunderheart with Val Kilmer.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's up on the Sioux Res, and there's a deer that jumps over the fence, and that's him shape-shifting.
Yeah, that's a
And
great
so-
example, yeah.
But so as far as a good visual, but usually more like darker critters, like everything from snakes, crows, ravens, coyotes,
Mm-hmm.
and
coyotes.
like and then there's like sometimes I've heard a lot of stories also where they were part human, part animal. So whether they were being seen during while they were changing, or they were stuck at some point in between, or it could be anything on that level. Who knows? I have not seen one. I've only heard the stories, and I might have witnessed one in the bushes, but I certainly didn't get a full body. I just saw movement, and so I don't know. That you always got to put that. It could have potentially been something else, but that's what makes it interesting, and that's why investigating it further is so much fun.
Yeah, and let's see, Andy was saying, don't forget the odd clothes they wear, these black-eyed people. A lot of times you hear about them wearing like plaid and or hoodies or different other stuff like that, and they're especially pale. It's pretty odd.
I'm going to do some research on that. I'm curious, but you know how that goes. You're curious about something, and sure enough, like, tap, tap, tap on my door, and I'm like, it's like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Why is there a Girl Scout here, like, trying to sell me cookies? Like, so you got to be careful. I don't want to attract one.
Caden has a good question. He asked who was more likely to run off scared on the team.
You.
Me? No. Maybe.
I wouldn't run off scared, but I definitely, if there was something that I didn't want to deal with and my red flags went up, which thank God that has not happened so far in our investigations, but I would know it. But if something like makes my red flag go up, like, no, like this, this is just beyond your ability, I would walk off. I would leave.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think back, and I can't remember on any case where anybody ran away except for, I think it was Glow who went out and sat in the vehicle until you guys left. Was it Glow or was it Mel?
It was Glow because she was beginning to feel really, really sick.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So that's not really fair, though.
And it was weird because I got I got the same thing from that. And I was fine till I went out where you guys were and you were cleansing, and then I was like, oh, I don't feel so good. And I felt like I was going to Ralph.
You were right next to me, and I felt the same way. I remember when you said that because I started feeling kind of a similar way, and I started getting a headache too. And then we were out in the front of the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just right out front, like just a few steps off the porch. I remember this. Yeah,
There's but I didn't run.
Sorry,
I didn't run away.
No,
not run away. So there's been a couple times that you got so spooked that I thought you were going to run away.
Yeah, and whatever it was really wanted us out of there. Like, it was really getting aggressive towards the end. And when you saw it, like, and it was especially tall, I think, wasn't it? I mean, even
it
just
was
driving.
really tall and dark, and I've never seen an entity like, it was literally like it was running at me. And so I was like, the only way for me to go was in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran to the house.
Yeah, and when we were driving onto the property, I remember when we went over that ditch is when I started feeling some of the energy off of it, and
all of us felt that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's been instances where I've had to leave a place, like in Rico into the basement, getting real bad headache, but I've never been scared of anything. And I've yet to come across anything that scares me.
So as far as investigations, what is your guys' favorite tool? And we'll start with Mel.
Well, I like using the Ghost Radar, but too, I'm really trying to work on just using my own senses, and I really like using the dowsing rods.
Me too. They're awesome. All right, Jamie, what about
and
you?
My kitty senses.
Oh, sorry, Mel. Go ahead.
I was just saying my kitty agrees too.
Yes.
Flare camera, hands down. I just absolutely love having that visual evidence. Of course, I'm trying to. I'm with Mel, trying to develop my own senses rather than rely on the technology. But having that proof with Kate in the immigrant guard looking over Selena's shoulder, watching what you guys were doing, that's, yeah, I'm sold. Flare camera.
Joe Monk says, favorite tool, pointy sticks.
I like them all, but the history is an amazing tool. Just sharing with the people who are explaining it and conversing with them is an amazing tool. And slowly but surely, I'm learning to Google things when I got questions especially when I can't get help from other people, or, just need to know more. But all the tools that we use, you're probably referring to, they all have their place, and they all are interesting at different times, would be my summary on that.
Nice. And Mia, what about you?
You guys know I love my Ghost Radio app. It's awesome. I feel I'll have a lot of empathic intuition when it comes to spirits, and so, but it's hard to tell where it's coming from, and it sometimes, especially if there's more than one, it's really hard for me to get messages, and I just get flashes too. They don't always make sense. So and I've actually spoken to some of my relatives with the Ghost Radio app. It's really good. So I know it does work, and I know, you can even hear the different tonation in their voices, and it usually matches. Like this last time, it matched the girl. It was a girl that actually knew, and it matched her voice and everything. So pretty cool. It was confirmed by her that it was her voice, and very cool. Awesome device.
Yeah. Well, I've always hunted with my intuition, my gut instinct, but my very first tool, I think is still my favorite tool, and that was the dowsing rods, and I've had a lot of success with that. But the flare camera is awesome as well, because you do get that visual evidence between degrees of heat and whatnot. It's pretty awesome. The ghost box, the SB7 and SB11, we actually had a voice come through when we did the preliminary investigation for X-Rock Radio in Durango, and at the very end, the ghost came through and was like, "Tom, get out of there." And he was talking to the little boy ghost, and I guess he was just tired of him, cooperating with us and communicating, and he had this very angry tone, and he meant business. And then after that, all went quiet. Like the female as well as the little kid ghost didn't say anything else.
And I remember the little kid wasn't saying like anything. Not very much, very little. The kid was. He was pretty quiet and shy.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that we actually heard him like with our own ears. We didn't even hear him through the equipment. He kind of, I don't know if he muttered something or did a little giggle or whatnot, but he was close to
I think it was a little
sharing.
kid. We all heard it. Every single one of us heard it. That was cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back there. We have so many things on the plate that we're going to be dealing with soon, and that's one of them. I'd like to get back in there before they tear that building down, because they're going to be doing that, I think, within the month. So it'd be nice to get in there.
Has already moved.
Did they?
They've already moved. Yep.
Oh, man.
They're out of that building.
Not cool. I wonder if that family of ghosts decide to go with them or if they're still in that building. And I wonder if we still can get in there. Jeez. I hate when we miss out on stuff. Huh?
There's other, never mind.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea they were tearing that building down, damn it.
Yeah, they're going to, and I wanted to take a jack set, to the little boy and leave that for him, and I really didn't have anything else I wanted to take to anyone there, just a little boy. I kind of am partial to kid ghosts, but I figured he'd like that because he's always being told to be quiet and, stay out of certain places. Maybe he'd like some toys to dink around with. But we have 2 minutes left on the show. Is there anything else you guys would like to cover as far as our team goes? Yeah. What about our upcoming event at the Grand Imperial?
Yeah. Excited about it.
Very. We've been trying for 2 years to go in there.
Yep, going to the Grand Imperial. There was a guy that killed himself there a long time ago, like 100. How long ago was that? 75, 100 years ago. So it's claimed to be haunted. A lot of construction workers I read won't. They've left the job site. Things like that. Things being
People
thrown.
have left in the middle of the night. Those are expensive rooms to leave in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I wonder if they have any sort of waiver or anything. If I owned a hotel and I had haunted activity, I'd have them sign a waiver where you either stay or you go and your money stays. Because I can imagine how much money that you'd lose out on having people just leave in the middle of the night.
And demanding.
So real quick, should we touch on how they can view what we're doing up in Silverton?
Yes, we're actually on our way out. You can find us on Facebook Live as well as Shindig, and the link for that is on Four Corners Paranormal Investigations. I've actually shared that a couple times. You can also find our group at fourcornersparanormalinvestigations.com or Four Corners Paranormal Investigations on Facebook. And Mel, let's start with you. You can say your goodbyes as we're on our way out, and then we'll move to Jamie, Mia, and Richard.
Thanks, everyone. It was fun talking with you guys. And if you're ever in our neck of the woods, don't be a stranger.
That's right.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Wonderful chatting. I will try to
Thank you
stay
for
up
listening.
next weekend.
Thank you, guys. You're so cool.
It was so awesome having you guys on,
Talk
and
with you in the future.
yeah, and I hope to have you guys on again someday. It was so nice having you guys on, and not just some other paranormal team. Everybody's always like, why isn't your team on there? And so I can finally say that I had you guys on.
We did it.
We did it. Well, thank you guys again so much for being on the show tonight. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone in Spaced Out Radio, Facebook, Spreaker, Twitter, Paranormal Radio, TalkStream Live, Deep Talk Radio, and wherever else you may be listening in the universe tonight. I had a wonderful time this evening, and it was my pleasure, literally and figuratively, and I can't wait to do it again tomorrow night for Psychic Sundays on spacedoutradio.com. Don't forget, we are all in this together. Together, we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we own the night. Until next time, nighty-night, love and light to all my space cases out there. You guys have a wonderful rest of your Saturday evening and your Sunday afternoon, and I will see you all back here tomorrow night on Psychic Sundays. Take care of yourselves. Nighty-night.